access to them. About the object description in more details, you already saw this slide in the previous presentation. Again, we are using somewhat repetitive presentations, but I think there's no harm in that. So here we have the metadata for this papyri. Yeah, yep. And the description, exactly the things we talked about, the width, height, depth, text inscribed on the face, letters, dating, find spot, original location, last recorded location. That would be the provenance type observed. This is the visualization of the code of provenance type observed, and bibliography and some more information, not obligatory. So something I said yesterday, the parts of the EpiDoc document, the TI header is the thing that we are going to deal with today. The image part and the text part that contains the apparatus criticus, the translation and the commentary. And we briefly discussed, we actually discussed the encoding part, but the translation and the commentary and the apparatus criticus are not that hard and difficult. Yep, I just remembered about the P tag, the paragraph tag that is scattered somewhat in different places in the examples in the presentations. The paragraph part basically deals with the visualization and makes things visible in certain tools for visualization. So this P part was really important in FS, but doesn't matter in Ajax. So you won't have to use it here in our workshop. But if you if you use FS, you will have to put P's in some places in order to your inscription to be properly visualized.
Also, in some places, if you don't enclose your description into P's, the schema will say that it's not valid. But whenever it allows it, you can do this.
So, yep, inside the TI header, file description, source description, MS desk standing for manuscript description, yeah, physical description and history. So this is like the hierarchical order of the elements. And yep, this is how it looks on the more general template, the EpiDoc template.
Yes, this is what was missing from actually the other presentation.
Yeah.
After the file desk, you have the encode desk and the profile desk.
Profile desk is something we don't use, yeah, but should be used in more complex cases. I mean, if you expect your collection to have peculiarities in this particular field, then you should probably include profile desk from the beginning and use it consistently. Just because of those 5 inscriptions that need specific clarifications about the calendar used and hence and so on. The encoding description, on the other hand, is something that isn't on the main EpiDoc template, but should be, because it is really important. As I told you yesterday, ideally in a project, more than one person works on one inscription, on one XML file. Once you encode it, you give it to another person to review it and to make corrections, because only one person can easily make repetitive mistakes. So that is why to keep track on the changes, we have this encoding description, the revision description, pardon me. Revision description, where you have the information of exactly when the thing was encoded, what was corrected, what was erased, and so on. So every time another person or even you make correction in the XML, you should put the date and the small sentence stating I have removed this and added that, and so on and so on. Otherwise, in a bigger project, you will get lost. And even in a small one with 3 persons, still it is highly recommendable to have this in the XML itself, not somewhere written in a chat or whatever. So, yep, in our template, we have this revision description, and we are quite strict about adding changes and here in the revision description. Yep, Miku.
Yes, and if I might say, this also gives responsibility for the persons who edited the monument electronically, and clear responsibility on who did what, because after all, let's not forget that this is an edition. This is an edition which should be recognized, and I believe that it will be recognized at some point as valid as the printed publication in a corpus. So it's important who came up with the data that are then presented to the public, who is responsible for the information, and in the case when this is acknowledged as a legitimate electronic publication, and we are moving towards that time, I believe, and I hope with faster pace. Then you can claim on the basis of this meta information, which is contained in the document, to be a co-author of the electronic edition of the inscription, which will be basically the same as having a printed publication of the inscription, because what we are doing is editing inscriptions. The fact that we're dealing with our keyboards on a computer does not change the fact. Okay, this was my interruption.
Yeah, but it's an important interruption. So, yeah, here again, more about the physical description of the monument. Much like in a printed edition, the elements would be like what type of object do we have, what is the condition, what is the material used, the dimension, if there is any type of decoration. All of this can be marked up, can be made using tags. In case you would want to make your corpus searchable based on decoration, certain types of decoration, or object type, material, and so on. About the condition, yeah, probably you can encode that as well and make it searchable, but I don't think it's necessary. Now, letters, of course, letter heights, just like in the printed edition, dating, paleography, different letter forms, abbreviation marks. About abbreviation marks, you can include them here in the physical description of the monument, or you can leave them for the commentary section. It's up to you. There are two correct ways to put this information. About the ligatures, again, you can have them here, or you can have them in the apparatus criticus, actually. And for the symbols, sometimes you cannot encode the symbols, but you have to like explain what is seen on the stone. You can put it here in the letter description, or you can leave it for the apparatus criticus. again, different types of decision. The text field would contain a layout description, where exactly on your monument the inscription stands, what are the dimensions of the inscription field, and the execution. I will later show you what tags are used for these descriptions. Yeah, so far everything you have on a printed edition, you can have encoded in the digital edition, and once encoding it, you can make it searchable by every single one of these criteria. Let's take a look of an example of a description that you would probably see in a printed version. So this is the description of a monument. It's part of a marble stele, cut down for a use as a column capital. It has a certain dimension. It is roughly in size. It has roughly in size palm branches at the ends of lines 2 and 4. That would be the support description. The layout description is where the inscription stands and is inscribed on the only surviving face. And then you have the hand note description. Again, nothing new. Prose text, just explaining what you will see. This, as you see it, would make your electronic publication contain all this information, but it won't be searchable. You cannot search, okay, I want to see all the monuments that are marble or that are stele. So what we want to do is to include tags to point out this information and to make it searchable for the computer. So the material is marble. The object type is stele. And then you have, what do we have here? What's the next? The dimensions, of course.
Yes, something very important.
Here, width, height, depth. And then roughly in size, this you may use this it's quite useful, this tag reference string. Reference string is used basically when you're not sure what to put. Your reference string is acceptable in most of the places throughout your XML, and may contain a lot of many types of information. So here the editor has chosen to use reference string type decoration, but you can put your decoration definition in another in a decodesk.
Yeah.
In a decodesk.
Yeah, there is also the decodesk if you wish to use it.
So reference string is more universal, and decodesk obviously is particularly for decoration.
You may or you may not need it.
Here.
It stands at the end of the physical description after the hand desk. Another quick thing to think about when you have nothing to put here. In the visualization, you can choose not to display, because we have passed through such decisions in our project. You can choose not to display a part of the description of the metadata when you have nothing to say about this. But maybe it is preferable to display something every time and to say here not applicable, or just to put a dash to indicate that there's nothing to say, because if it's missing from your output, the people will wonder if this is because it is not applicable, or it is because it has disappeared for some reason. So it's always probably important, the elements, the modules of meta information that are not applicable, or there is no information about them. Just write down something as NA, or unknown, or a dash, or a dot, or something, and leave it in the description, leave it visualized, because we have no applicable information for this thing, for this aspect of the monument is also information that you might want to represent, and not simply something missing from your output.
Yes. So just to explain again that okay, obviously you begin with a prose text that is seen in every printed edition. You can choose to extract the different types of information from this prose text. And in order to be able to extract these types of information, you have to encode them. It is up to you how deep you would, how detailed you would encode the description of the monument. For some reason, you may not be interested of the materials used. It might not be a scope of your project to state that most of the monuments in your project are marble, but there are some limestones and so on. In that case, you just won't use this tag material. You will leave it as prose text. The information still will be there, will be visible for the user, but it won't be able to be extracted and to be classified. Yep, let's see. Again, in the layout, this description, we have another example of reference string type execution. So different types, different element attribute types with different values gives you different types of information. Reference string being as universal as it is. And yeah, we don't use it, whether for what type of execution there is on our different monuments, but for some reason you might want to state it and to have it classified by this criteria. So there is a way to declare it. And yeah, here you can have the dimensions within the layout description. You can have the dimensions of the inscription field if you want to. This is an empty element, but once you remove this dash, you will have an element ready to be filled with dimensions, with height and width. Let's see what else. Yeah, about the height of the letters. Again, you should put the actual numbers within the height element. This is something important, and I have an example prepared for you. If you have text in multiple parts, sometimes your inscription might be, well, on a sarcophagus, for instance, there is a small inscription on the lid of the sarcophagus. There is on the right side of the sarcophagus, there is another inscription. On the left side, there is another inscription. Still, all these inscriptions are on one monument, but they are divided in individual parts. So for this, we use MS part 1 and MS part 2. We have different MS parts and we give them personal XML ID. Once you give it an ID, this ID specifies that you are speaking about the same monument, but one part of it or part 2 of it. Let me show you. Yep, and of course you can have different descriptions on these different parts, because one part can have one physical description and another part can have another physical description. Let me see. I don't have an example for this.
We don't, yes.
Yeah, but for instance, if there's a large inscription, it's broken into the one part of it is in a church somewhere near the altar, and the other part was found in a field 2 kilometers away from that church.
Yeah.
So these both they are part of one monument and should be treated as one monument, but they have different history and different description because their location is different, their state is different, and so on and so on. In order to describe them individually, but still to read them as one monument, you have this XML ID, and you double the information, I mean, the description, the physical description. You have physical description for part 1 and physical description for part 2. Yeah, this is a bit complex case. Once
yeah, but it happens.
But it happens. And the most important thing is to have different IDs on the different parts of the monument. Let's see. Nah, this is in case they have common history, but they have a different physical description. But they can have different history and even can have different identifiers. It may be really complex. So just just keep in mind that you might encounter that, and there are ways to encode every this type of information. As complex as it gets, it can be made clear. But for a more simple example, I wanted to show you. Just let me see where it was. Where did I include it? Nope. Workshop here. Huh.
Let's see, we're searching for a particular description that we have.
Yeah, I was thinking about, but I remember where it is, so I will just scroll and find it. Yeah, here there is a quite common this case with the different parts is rare, but this is quite common. You have one monument, but one part of the inscription is on the upper part, and the other text is on a different part of the monument itself. So this is treated as one monument with two text parts. Here you see, I didn't copy it. I'm going to show you in the Telamon site. You can see the XML itself. There are two AB parts. Standing for anonymous block. And in these two anonymous blocks, you describe your, you encode your text.
Yeah, but the thing which is simple here is that all the monument is at one piece and it's in one place, so you don't have to divide the metadata.
Yeah, yeah.
This is not always the case. This is why we showed you.
What else I wanted to show you?
Should I list this on the examples or no?
Yeah, I think I did, but I just clearly don't see it. I may put it somewhere that I don't remember where. And anyways, about the metadata, it is here in the Epidoc template, as well as in our template. It is quite simple. Here, your task is not that hard because you have a description. Ideally, you have a small description of everything you are supposed to just put within the triangular brackets. So here you have the material, and within the material tags, I will just write, this is a limestone marble. Yeah, but ours is bilingual. So I will write marble in the English part. And
mramor in the
I will write mramor in the Bulgarian part. Basically, you have to double the information in two languages, but the really cool thing is that you only do it in one XML. You don't have to do like two different XMLs into different languages. You just double the information in the two language sections.
And it's consecutive. You have them all in one place. So what you write down in one language, you immediately translate it into the other.
Yeah, so most of the times this part of the MS description is just fill in the blanks. You won't have to do anything more complex than that. When you have a more peculiar example, then you have to probably consult the Epidoc guidelines, as I advised you always to do when you're not sure how to do something. But either in most of the cases, you just fill in here the different types of data that you already have in your printed edition that you work from. Yeah, so let's take a look.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's take a look at the dates. Mitko briefly said some things about them, but now I will just give you a little bit more examples about types of dates you may encounter in an inscription in different places of an inscription description, dates, dating, and age of death. Dating of an object. Yeah, here is a clear example that this is 3rd century before Christ, minus 4-digit date format, not before 300, not after 201. This stands in the Auric date, original dating. I don't know how it should be in expanded form, this Auric date. So not before and not after are the attributes that we use for a period, a range of some sort. And here is the correct format. If you by mistake miss a zero or do something else that isn't correct, your oxygen would automatically turn red. So no need to worry about that. If you mistake and if you make a mistake and do not use the proper way to describe an age, it will scream for you to correct it. Now, here is, well, this is a bit superfluous information for me. Precision medium is that it is fairly precise that this can be ascribed to the 3rd century. In most cases, you won't have this precision. We would use the precision when it is low. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think that
I always stress on this. Precision low means that
you're not sure.
You're not sure, but precision high, why would you use it at all if
Yeah, precision high and precision medium are some things that exist in the schema. You can write them down, but otherwise they won't be displayed in any case, and they are not that informative.
Only the
Per se.
precision low could be displayed as a question mark here and there, or as a circa, or as something like this, but the other ones won't visualize at all.
Yep. So that is exactly what I was going to say. Precision low would give you a C dot standing for circa, yeah, this period. So we are not sure, but around this period is where this when this monument should be dated. Forget about precision medium, just use the precision low. When you're not certain about something, you use precision low. Dating methods. Unfortunately, the dating methods are in the US standard, aren't they? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, they're in the US. They're in the US standard, and that is something that we generally forget because we are not used to it. But anyways, you begin with year, date, month. Just in case you need it, remember where to find it in this presentation. You may have different dating methods, and in that case, you have to state them. These are, yeah, complex cases, but still you would have to, you probably have to consult the guidelines, the epidocs.org guidelines, in case you are wondering how to describe a peculiar, more peculiar date. Again, about the precision, here we have the medium precision. I would suggest to use just the low precision. And another obligatory thing for dating is the evidence. Obligatory wasn't correct for me to say. It is not obligatory by the schema, epidoc schema.
Yeah, your schema will not break if you don't
You
do this,
can
but highly
easily,
advisable that you say
yeah,
something about
you
this.
can omit it and it won't anything, nothing will happen. But still, it is highly advisable to have an evidence based on what you think this dating is applicable for your monument. So the evidences have some values that are, let me see if, oh, pardon me.
Yeah, I was looking for the same thing. The values that are recommendable, but not.
These are the values. Just let me, oh, evidence. They should be listed somewhere. Anyways, we have them.
Dating criteria.
Where did you
Not
see
searching
that?
for dating criteria.
Here.
Uh,
Yeah, the epidoc schema suggests a short list of value. Okay, so we have them here. Evidence.
okay, I found it. Maybe I can share my screen also. Or
No, just 1 second. Here are the lists, the evidences you might want to use. There's archaeological context, internal dating, lettering, material context, nomenclature, office, prosopography, textual context, titulature.
would if you want some a few words about any of this, archaeological context, of course, is if you don't have any indication other than the original archaeological layer when the inscription was found, you use this. Internal date is when the document itself mentions the dating. Lettering, quite often you don't have anything but the type of script that directs you to the okay, this type of script is typical for the 3rd century. Material context is something which relates to the materiality of the object, but is different from archaeological context in respect with. So let's say archaeological context depends on the other things which were found in the same archaeological layer together with the original monument. And this one is something like, for example, the marble quarry in this location was used from 2nd century BC to 3rd century of the Christian era. So this marble monument could not date from outside this period, something like this. The materiality of the object itself and not the archaeological context in which it was found points to a dating. Nomenclature, for example, if you have a provincial with the Greek name of Diodorus, if he was named, for example, Aurelius Diodorus, this means that the form of the name itself indicates to some date after the year 212, where with the edict of Caracalla, all the subjects of the Roman Empire became citizens, and thus they received official names, which all started with Aureli. So the type of naming that is characteristic for a particular period or which establishes a particular terminus ante quem or terminus post quem. Office means the dates of rule of an emperor or a mandate of a provincial governor or other official which is mentioned in the description, and we know exactly the period of office of these people which are mentioned as rulers or official in description. Prosopography means a person. Unlike nomenclature, which deals with the form of the names, an attested person, which, as a historical person, has a known date of death, birth, or floruit, which is established by other sources, and if it is mentioned in the document, then we know exact dates or termini ante quem or post quem. Textual context, which sounds a bit weird, but yeah, I participated in a discussion when such things were decided, which means that something that is mentioned in the text, such as event, for example, I'm making it's totally made up example, but yeah, an inscription which says something. My wife died in the eruption of Vesuvius, so you know that this inscription could be, or this papyrus rather, would be more applicable for this. Is dated with terminus postquem AD 79. Titulature, the thing that we mentioned briefly previously, if Trajan is received the honorific title of Germanicus, but still hasn't received in the monument the honorific title of Dacicus, this means that this inscription is dated after his victory over the generals, but before his conquest of Dacia, and things like that. This is, in broad lines, what is the advised dating criteria.
Just to make an experiment, because I'm not quite sure, but I think that the evidence is, these are the advisable values, but still you can use your own.
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, you can write anything you want. It won't make your XML invalid, but you should probably stick to those to the list that we just showed you, because of consistency throughout the project and across projects. So, yep, once you normally once you start typing evidence and you reach this part where you have this quotation marks, you will have a list of the evidences available. I will just leave it with XXX here, as it was in the template originally, and we will exercise all of these things in the afternoon. So basically, our job today is quite easier than the previous day, but than yesterday, because here you just fill the information within the already existing spaces. Let's return to the dates and the age of death, and after that I will have to leave you for just one presentation. I hope that Mitko would take over from here. So yeah, precision, medium, evidence, lettering, nomenclature.
You can put several things here. Yes.
You can list more than one evidence. Basically, our most of the cases, you have more than one evidence. So you just list them with commas or without commas. Again, it doesn't matter. You just list all of the applicable evidences. Dates. When you have a precise date, you don't use at least, at most. You just use the exact attribute when. When in this day this happened. Of course, that is super rare, I believe, and in most cases you have a span from this year to this year. Age of death. This is inside your inscription, and I wouldn't advise you to encode this within your inscription, but that is me personally. That's my opinion. You may encode the age of death within the inscription itself, or you may keep this information for an authority list. We will speak about the authority lists and how useful they are tomorrow, I think. So for now, just take my word for granted that the better way is to use have this information elsewhere, not here in the inscription itself. But certain person lived certain amount of time, date, type, lifespan. Wouldn't bet that lifespan is still valid, but we will try that in the afternoon. And here we encode all these annus plus minus Septuaginta menses within the date element. This doesn't work for sure. For this, I'm sure that it doesn't work, so I'll just keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Marriage span is another thing. So you can have different types of spans that are quite common on the inscriptions. That you have lifespan, military service, and marriage span. They are encoded with the date element with different attributes and different attribute type, and different attribute values. For instance, this is marriage span, the previous was lifespan, and when you have military service span, it would be called, obviously, military service span. These are not restricted.
Yes, again, if you decide that you need to encode all this.
Yeah, it is probably interesting to have them, but if you choose to encode them within the XML of the monument itself, it may make it a little bit too big and too hard to operate, to deal with. Yeah, so that was it about the dates.